Good morning, everyone. Mr. Sagi here with another amazing Learn to Mod video. So today we are going to be doing some awesome stuff. This is our code right here. Some of you might recognize that this actually, while it looks nasty, is just a modified version of our giant cake cube from last time. So now we're going to be adding in some cool new stuff, and let me show you what it does. So we'll go test this out in the simulator here. And now when we press M, you'll see that it looks more or less the same as it did last time, a giant block of cake, but we're going to crack it open now, and you'll see that it actually is hollow in the inside, but actually not even hollow, it's full of water, so we can fly around inside of it. We've built ourselves a cool anti-gravity chamber, which is a lot of fun. So, and there's one other slight change that we've made with this, is now we have one simple variable here called size. So what we can do, so we can change this, and it will automatically go through and change everything with our cake. So we can more easily change how big our cake cube is. So now that it's 20 large, if we just press the button, it'll be a second. I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So there we go. Boy, that took a moment. Okay, so now we have, you can see with just a single change of a number, we have created a cube that is much, much larger and is still full of water. Giant, cool, fun anti-gravity chamber in here. Woo, we'll go ahead and knock off some of the top so we can get some lighting in here. Pretty cool, huh? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and give it a go. Alright, so you're going to want to be on your home page, and once you're there, go ahead and click on Play, and then click Mods. And you should see your mod from last week called Cake or something like that, Giant Cake. Go ahead and click, hover your mouse over that and then click Code. And here we are, right here. So now we're going to go ahead and just explain what we did last week, just to kind of give everyone a refresher. And to help us out with that, I've brought in a very special guest. His name is Nyan Shark.
Hey there, kids. This is Nyan Shark, your very favorite elasmobranch Pop-Tart bodied predator. So today, let's go ahead and look at the code that you guys did here last time. So we have up over here on the top our main function here, creating a variable called width. Now, 10 times we're going to create our wall function down here, where we will have a variable for length, and then we'll create towers. Now in towers, we create a variable for height, then we make a new drone and tell it to move forward length, width, and height. Then he places a cake block and then adjusts height. He does that a bunch to make a tower. Then we adjust the length to create a wall, and then we adjust the width to create a giant cake block. Yeah! Nyan Shark out!
Alright, thank you so much, Nyan Shark. That was really helpful. If anybody still has any questions, feel free to pop up a hand and I'll do what I can to help you out. So the first thing that I'd like to work on is I want to change this around so that we can adjust just a single number and adjust the entire size of our cube. Because right now, if we want to adjust the size, then we need to adjust the width and the length and the height all separately. And there's one really easy way that we can get around that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable to hold all of the numbers. So go ahead and click Variable, and click the top one right here, Set Item To, and let's stick that right at the start of our function. And let's call this new variable Size, okay? Once you get size, we're going to set size to, go ahead and click Math, grab another number block right here, and stick that right on, and we can change that. That's going to be the size of our cube. I'm going to set it to 10, just because 10 is a good working number to test with. You're welcome to change it later, but why don't you do 10 right now? So now what we can do is every spot that we have 10, like in these repeat loops, we can just replace that with size. And then what it will do is it will run it size times. We can just change this number and it will change all of these loops instead. So let's go ahead, go to variables, and you should see you've got a variable for size right down here. Let's just stick that into that spot, get rid of those 10s. We don't need you anymore. 10s, go away. We've got better 10s with letters and things like that. Here we go. Stick that right there, and perfect. And we should see that if we test out this whole thing in the simulator, things should run exactly the same. Let's see. Here we go. Perfect. See? The function runs exactly the same, but now if I want to change around one of these numbers, like let's say 20, for instance, now if we go ahead and make sure it's saved, there we go. Let's go ahead and run it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, you can see now that just changing one number and we have made this a giant cube. Once again, I don't recommend going above 20 in terms of your cube size because it takes a lot longer to load if you go above 20. So yeah, just stick with 20. Okay, let's keep on going. So what we have here, as you can see, is Danny the drone, and he's doing exactly what our drone would do. He's going down, he's placing cake blocks at specific locations. Now, if we want to leave it hollow on the inside, all that we have to do is tell Danny to do the exact same thing, but just not put down cake blocks in certain spots. So we're going to use some if statements to accomplish that. So imagine that you're at home and you ask your parents if you can have a cookie, and they say, well, you can have a cookie if you finish your Brussels sprouts. What that means is if you have finished your Brussels sprouts, then you can do something. And we can do that exact sort of thing with coding. So let's look at our block right here. If we want to make it hollow on the inside, we only want to keep certain layers of it. So for instance, we'll probably want to keep this bottom layer. So we know that down at the bottom layer, the height of our cube is going to be equal to 0. So we'll tell the computer if height is equal to 0, then place a block. And then if height is not equal to 0, it won't place a block. So all you have to do is go over here and then go to logic. And right up here at the top, you'll see if do. So go ahead and drag that down, and let's stick that right here under height, okay? So in this little spot right here, you're going to put what's called an argument. So if this is true. So in this case, we want to say if height is equal to 0. So let's go to variables. Let's grab height, and we'll just stick that right over there. Don't click it in there just yet. We also need a little bit of math. So we want to say math, and we'll drag one of these number blocks over. And then lastly, we're going to go to logic, and you'll grab the second block down, the one with 2 holes and the equal sign in the middle. So let's stick the equal sign right there, and let's stick the height there. Let's stick this number block right there, okay? So now, let's go ahead and let's take this drone bit right here. So drone place block, go ahead and stick that right there inside the little do section there, and then stick height back on the bottom. So now what this is going to do is it'll look through and it'll say, okay, so move the drone around. If height equals 0, so if height is 0, then the drone will place a cake block, okay? Everything else will work the same, but he'll only place cake blocks when height equals 0. So now let's go ahead and let's see what that looks like. So let's test that out in the simulator. Now you're going to see things look very different now. So this isn't going to make the whole hollow thing, but here we go. Bam. So now it only placed cake blocks when the height equaled 0, so it doesn't build up at all. So we've got a base layer right now. So now we're going to want to put in a couple other if statements so that we can tell it to place blocks at other certain points. So once again, we're going to use some more if statements. In fact, we can probably use the same one right here. We just need to change a couple things. So go ahead and click your if statement, then press, if you're using your Chromebook, press Control-C. If you're using a MacBook, press Command-C. Hold both the keys at once. And then press Command-V, and you'll paste your code, just like that. We've got the second copy. Go ahead and stick that right below your first one. Now what we're going to want to do is let's change, let's say length. Okay, so now if length is equal to 0, it will place a cake block as well. And that should give us a wall. Let's go ahead and give that a test. Alright, here we go. Bam, look at that. We have a wall. And we see that we still have our big old block down here. The rest of it, we got a tree right there. But we have a wall right here. So we got a wall on this side. We also want to make sure that we have another wall on this side. So we need to figure out what our length will equal when the drone is over here, what our max value is. So let's go ahead and count for a second. So remember, we start at length equals 0. So we got to count that. So we say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So when length equals 9, we want to place more cake blocks to make another wall here. So let's go ahead and we're going to need to add in a funny thing called an OR statement. So what we've said here is that if length equals 0, place a block. We want it to place a block when length equals 0 or when length equals 9. Okay? So what we're going to do, go to logic again. And right down here, the third one down, you'll see 2 holes and an AND spot. An AND is just another sort of logic statement, but go ahead and click the little tab there and just switch it to OR, okay? So we're going to plug that right in where our currently this chunk of thing is. And let's stick that into the first slot. So an OR statement is basically a way of saying if this is true or this other thing is true, do something. So we want to say length equals 0 or length equals 9. So let's go ahead and let's get another logic thing. Let's get another equals thing and stick that in the other hole. And then get a variable and say length right there. Stick that right in. And lastly, one other number block under math. Grab number block, stick that there, and type 9. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's give that a go and see if it works. So go to Test and Simulator. And if this works, we should have 2 walls. So here we go. There's one wall. Look, there's a second wall, just like that, right exactly where it should be. So that works pretty well, but there's one thing that we can do to make this a little bit better. So let's go back here. So right now length equals 9, but what if we change the size of our blocks over here? So I'm going to change that to 20, and let's see what happens. Okay, so here we are. So we've got it, and so now it's still placing the block at length equals 9, but we have so much more of our size over here. So we want to make it so that this will move over to the edge regardless of what the size is. So what we're going to do is instead of saying length equals 9, we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to say length equals whatever the max value is minus 1. Because remember, we count including 0, so we got to make sure that we include the minus 1 there. So go to Math, and grab this guy right here, the second one down that's got the 2 holes and the plus sign. And let's go take variable size, stick that in, and then we'll say size, switch that to minus, and then click Math. Let's stick this guy right in there and switch that to 1. Okay? So now let's go ahead and let's give that a go. Alright, here we go. Bam. And look at that. Let's dig out this dirt, make sure that it worked properly. Look at that. That looks perfect to me. Let's make sure that there's nothing on the other side either. Nope. It's putting this wall right at the very edge of everything. So now we just need 2 more walls. So we've adjusted this one for height, and these 2 walls are from length. So our last variable is width. So we want width to create 2 walls as well. Okay? So once again, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. So let's grab another if statement. So click on Logic, if, and we'll stick that right below that. And we're going to need our logic arguments right here. So go back up to logic. Let's grab the AND thing, the AND block, and stick that right there. And once again, remember to switch it to OR. That's very important. So it will say if this or this is true. And now we'll want to grab another logic block. We want the equals one. We're going to need that twice. So let's grab 2 of those. And stick that right there. So if this equals this, or if this equals this, now we need to get width, our width variable. So let's get a width variable right there. Then click variables again. Stick width right there. So we want width equals 0, or width equals size minus 1. So let's go math. Let's grab a 0. Stick that there. Or width equals, let's go math, grab your addition subtraction block, switch it to subtraction. Let's grab one last variable, size, stick that there, minus, and now math, grab a number block, switch that to 1, and we're golden. Let's see if that worked. Test that in Simulator. Here we go. Bam. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try that again. Oh, that's why it didn't work. Sorry guys, I made a mistake. So you can see I said if width equals 0 or width equals size minus 1, but I didn't tell it to do anything. we need another drone place a cake block. So go, let's say drone places blocks of type, go materials, cake block, cake block, cake block, bam. Okay, let's try it now. Okay, here we go. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm seeing a bunch of walls there. Let's break inside of this guy, see what we got. Look at that. We've got a nice box going on here. That's exactly what we want. Now, the last thing that we're going to do is remember that the drone, when it was building the big cake block, it was moving between all of this empty space. And it's still doing that, it's just not placing any blocks. What we're going to want to do is we want to place blocks that are, well, just not cake blocks in this case. We want it to place water instead. So what we're going to do is one final little piece that we can do. We can change one of these if statements to what we call an if-else statement. So that's pretty much a way of saying, if this stuff is true, do this. If this stuff is not true, do something else. So what you're going to need to do is click on the little gear up here, and you'll see this pop up. You're going to want to take this else button right here, drag that over, and stick that right under the if there. Okay, and you can see else pops up right there. Go ahead and click the gear again to close that little window. So right in the else spot, we want it to say that if it's not placing a cake block, let's have it place water. So go ahead and let's grab drone. Drone places blocks of type blank. And then go to materials. And then TUVW water. There we go. Drone places blocks of type water. Okay? So if height is equal to 0, place a cake block. If height is not equal to 0, go ahead and place water instead. Okay? And the thing is that there are several spots where height will not equal 0, and it will place water blocks, but it's going to place cake blocks right on top of them, so that's actually all we need. So don't worry about sticking it anywhere else. All right, let's give it a test and let's see if this works. Here we go. Now we are placing a lot more blocks, so this might take just a moment. Oh, here we go. Let's break it on open. Look at that. We've got ourselves a beautiful cake swimming pool, which is pretty fun. And if you want to put a ceiling on this, you can basically do the same thing that you did for the walls, just do that with height to put a block on the top here. Or you can just swim around and, have some fun up here. So, if you have completed the lesson for today, please feel free to show it to me. I would love to see it. And if you want to play in your awesome swimming pool or mess around with the size or anything else, I highly encourage you to. But if you want to just go over and play Prodigy, that's fine by me as well. Thanks for all your hard work, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Nyan Shark.